this is your first period here. It's challenging in many ways.
It is.
So can you explain to us how was your experience running in this district, and basically you won the district?
Yeah. So we were lucky enough to win in what was a very tough election for the 27th congressional district on the north side of LA County, a very diverse district. I have background in the district. I ran a company in Mojave on the north side of the district for about 10 years. My kids went to school there. We just focused on the basics, creating more jobs for folks in the area, making sure that we were focused on costs it worked. We developed tremendous grassroots energy. A lot of the different groups and folks around really helped us, and in the end we were successful against beating one of the strongest Republican candidates in the country. So that was a good team win.
Actually, that was my second question. Is like you flipped this district for Democrats. So how was it? How was this thing? This is a real challenge for you.
Yeah.
And what do you consider were the key points or the elements that helped you on this?
Well, we had great grassroots energy. That was part of it. And we did the work, right? So we were out in the community almost every day, trying to go to different community festivals, visiting with different groups all across the district. And it's a pretty big district, right? So it goes all the way from Lancaster on the north side, all the way down to the San Fernando Valley on the other side, with Santa Clarita, Acton, Agua Dulce, Palmdale, all in the inside. And, we tried to stay focused on economic messaging, that we were going to try to generate jobs. I'm somebody who created 700 good jobs in the Antelope Valley as part of my work in the district before. Also to protect Social Security, to protect Medicaid, to protect Medicare. These are huge issues right now in our community with, the threats to Medicaid that's going on right now in the Republican budget proposal. And so those things resonated, as well as sort of district-specific things like wildfire, because we have so many threats of wildfire. I talked a lot about that, and I've set up some organizations related to that in our district.
So just to make sure that these things that the wildfires affect your district, the last ones?
Yes, so we had two big fires in our district, but luckily we were sort of the success story. So the firefighters were able to contain the fires and to keep them from burning down a lot of houses. So unlike the Eaton fire and the Palisades fire, we had the Hearst fire and the Hughes fire, and both of those were very big fires, very rapidly moving. But the firefighters did an amazing job, and they stopped it from reaching the towns.
During the campaign, how was your approach with the Hispanic community? Because you are living in a district, whereas California has a lot of Hispanic people living there, voters, different kind of backgrounds.
Yeah.
But how was your approach?
Well, we tried to stay focused on the issues that we were hearing most from them, which was the desire to have local jobs in the district, because so many of our folks have to drive down into Los Angeles for their employment. Many of them have to drive, and this includes the Latino community, they have to drive like 2 hours down and then 2 hours back. So many of them are spending 4 hours on the road every day. So we talked a lot about economic issues. We talked a lot about jobs. We talked a lot about costs. And then, as you know, I have my family that I'm married to are Latino. My wife is Latina. She is of Salvadorian and Cuban descent. Her dad was a first-generation immigrant from Cuba, and her mom was actually born in the United States, but they met in Santa Monica Community College and built great lives. So we tried to speak to that. We developed really good relationships with Latino community groups, Salva in our area, as well as the Latino Chamber of Commerce and other organizations, to make sure that we were hearing directly from them what their concerns were, and also making sure that we were representing their voices both during the campaign and once we got into Congress.
It was difficult sometimes, that approach. They didn't want you to speak in Spanish sometimes, maybe?
Yeah, and my Spanish is pretty bad, so I would try a little bit, but we also had my parents-in-law come. They're staying with us now, so they would go out there as well on the campaign trail. They're a lot better. Obviously, they're fluent in Spanish, so they would help me make sure we got our word out.
So you are a new freshman in Congress, new challenges, because one thing is being in campaign, you were working on many topics and issues, but now you have the hard work to do, which is try to make alliances here.
Yeah.
Well, not here, in
Yeah.
Congress.
Yeah.
So how do you see this challenge? Because basically it's to build new kind of relationships.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to be effective for our constituents, right? We have to figure out, how do we pass laws in Congress? How do we make sure that we are getting things actually done? And so we're learning that now. We're figuring that out now. I was I was in Washington before, so I was at NASA as the chief of staff of NASA, and so we had to do a lot of work with Congress. So it's not like I've never been there and I don't know anything. I know something, but now we're on the other side, right? And so trying to figure out how we can make alliances with other Congress people who are important in different areas, whether it's jobs or housing or healthcare or these social safety net programs, making sure that, of course, we're fighting back against what we're seeing coming out of the new administration, right? I mean, these potential cuts to Medicaid could have devastating impacts, particularly for the Antelope Valley, which has a larger number of Latinos in our community. The cuts to the VA, they're talking about cutting 80,000 workers from the VA. We have a huge number of veterans in our district, many of whom are Latino. Those cuts will hurt their service that they get from the VA. So we're trying to, make those relationships so that we can be effective for folks in our district.
What about education? Education is one of the most important things for the Hispanic community. I'm not just focusing on the Hispanic community, I'm saying in general for U.S. citizens. And just for a new data that we were reviewing in our media, 18 million of Hispanic people will be affected, for example, if the Department of Education is closed.
Yeah.
And it's just one group, population.
Right.
When we talk about other groups, we are talking about a lot of people.
Yeah.
So what is the approach that you are trying to work on this thing? Is this part of your agenda?
Well, education is very important, right? I think education is the foundation of a healthy democracy, right? And so the idea that we're going to close the Department of Education is absolutely crazy to me. It's unlawful and it's unconstitutional because they're trying to close it without input from Congress. We have to fight back. A huge issue is the IDEA grants, which fund activities related to disabled children, special needs children. It's a huge funding source for that, although it's not enough, but it's a huge funding source. And so, we have to fight back. We need to have strong public school system, right? And what we're seeing out of the Trump administration is just trying to destroy whole government agencies, and what they're trying to do with the Department of Education is, I think, really immoral in a way, because it undermines the foundation of our democracy.
Mm-hmm. So I was in this one conference with some part of your group, the caucus, and they were asked about what is the message that you as Democrat want to send at this moment to the whole population, because eventually your voice is going to be there, not just for your district, but even the whole California and other states. What is, in your opinion, should be or is the voice or the message that Democrats will send at this moment? What is happening?
I think it is that we are going to fight for you against the corruption that we see coming out of this administration, where they are pursuing these massive tax cuts for their billionaire friends at the expense of working families, working men and women across the country. That's the message.
Thank you.